Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to introduce Amy Fagan. She's a passionate podcaster dedicated to making sustainable living accessible and achievable. Amy's podcast showcases diverse approaches and creative solutions to sustainability, highlighting individuals who are making impactful changes. She offers listeners practical insights and encouragement to start their own journeys. By focusing on varied methods, Amy helps her audience integrate sustainability into daily life. Get ready to be inspired by a podcast that turns sustainability from daunting to doable. Amy, welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. I'm really glad you're here.
Thanks so much, Sue. I'm thrilled to be here. And thanks for that nice write-up.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. I was like, ooh, a fellow, like, this is awesome. This is great. So, and I know you're based in Virginia. I'm just down the road in Northeast Tennessee in Greene County, heart of Appalachia. But I would love to hear from you. Like, who are you helping? Talk a little bit more about that. And what problems are you, with your podcast, what are you solving for them?
Ooh, podcast. So, my plan is to make it accessible, like sustainability, because sustainability, for one, is a humongous word and covers like a million different things. But there are so many things, like if you go to a store and you're looking for something that's quote unquote sustainable, you're going to get like organic linen, or you're going to get, technology or something that's super expensive and not really accessible to a lot of people. And so some people might feel like I'm not able to be part of this. I just can't afford to be sustainable. And the podcast is to encourage people and to say, that's not true. Look at all these other things that people are doing. And I've had people of all walks from all over the world that are doing the coolest things. I mean, one for me, as far as like, less expensive, I had a lady come on and she was like, what do you do that's sustainable? She was like, I make my own broth. I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
Yes.
Because if you go to a grocery store and you're buying those cartons of broth, it's like got this, I don't even know it's plastic or wax.
I know, what is that stuff? Right?
You can't recycle it and you can't compost it. You have to throw it away. It's like $5 a carton. And sometimes if you have a big family, you're needing two. And you don't know you can read the ingredients, but all of them are not, and there's like a lot of sodium, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I'm prepping food anyway. I just use the scraps, put them in the freezer, and then I just add water. Like,
love it.
Really nothing. You know exactly what's in it, and it's healthy. And I was like, you go. That is awesome.
Yeah. That is fantastic. I love that, because you're 100% right. Some of the sustainability stuff is like, what? If you have a job, if you have anything else going on, it's absolutely impossible. Uh-oh.
I don't know.
I think your video disappeared.
I know. Oh, okay. Here I am.
There we are. We'll cut that. That's fine. Yeah, it makes it very hard, I think, and very unapproachable for a lot of people who, maybe you're working or you have a life, or you're not a, gazillionaire. That's wonderful.
Right.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And people that, there are so many people that I've talked to that are just so cool and doing, I had a lady come on, Sonia, she lives in the UK, but she's from Italy, but she's been in the fashion world for so long. And she was talking about, the dangers of fast fashion. And, I'm wearing a t-shirt and a sweatshirt and leggings.
Same.
But
we're fashion.
I'm not a fashion lady, but I'm fascinated by that and just the the dangers of that, and it was so interesting and and sad, obviously, but just to have people are so into like being fashionable that they are willing to pay small amounts to just change their wardrobe out so often, and just to put thoughts in people's minds.
For sure. Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot we can learn not to do, a lot we can learn to do, and that's fantastic. I love that you're bringing this to anybody who's wanting to make these changes. What made you decide to start this podcast?
Oh my gosh. It so when I moved to Virginia from Maine, I just got divorced in July, moved here in August. I was volunteering at a farm locally to me. It was like a mile away, and they grew organic produce just to donate it to the food banks and other neighborhood communities. And I was weeding garlic with a friend, and because I was 8 years, 7 years, I did that every Saturday morning. And so, you become family, the people that you work with every week. And so we were talking about how cool it would be. We both wanted to do we wanted to learn more about homesteading.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought it would be cool to do a homesteading YouTube channel, and like the two of us together would interview someone in the homesteading world and ask them to teach us a skill. And then we would go home and, try it out in our lives and then report back the next week. It sounded amazing. And then she kind of dropped off. She got busy and whatever. And I was like, no way am I talking on YouTube all by myself. No, thank you. And so then it became an idea for a podcast. And I joined a couple of homesteading Facebook groups, and the people were not very nice.
Yeah, it can be brutal out there. Like, you ask a question and they're like 50 people jump on you. Like,
yeah. And so I was like, I don't know that I really want to be associated with that. And I'm not like totally turned off, but at the same time, like, I'm just going to go sustainability for a little while at least. And it's been a really interesting journey. And I'm because I've heard podcasting, you make your own rules, which I am all for, because I don't like rules, but also, I'm adding in, it's all sustainability stuff, but then I've thrown in a few episodes that are like personal sustainability. Like, I'm 50 years old now, so we are talking about menopause every now and then. And also, I had someone on who did breath work, something to like keep yourself in check. And so, I'm making my own rules, and it's cool. And I forgot where I was going with that, but
we're starting your podcast, but that's leading, you were right in there.
And it's just been, the people that I've met are just outstanding. I mean, people that I never would have met. And I did not come into this as a place of authority in any way. I'm coming at this with a sense of curiosity, because I have always been a very quiet person. Like, I don't always have a lot to contribute to conversations. And so this is very out of my norm. But, so these people I would never have met. I mean, I talked to people in, what's that country with the A? Australia.
Uh-huh.
I talked to people in Australia and Italy and Romania and all these places and all over the country. And I'm just like, I can't even believe this is my life.
Yeah, it's amazing how podcasting can open all that. It's like, I mean, it's amazing. Like you said, like, you're face to face with somebody that you would never have met, much less had a conversation, much less for, half hour, 45 minutes. It just, and we can learn. And I love that you were driven by curiosity on that. And that, I think, eliminates any like sense of imposter syndrome when we're approaching it like, hey, I want to learn, rather than I am the authority.
Yeah, totally. And also, in podcasting, I've made some amazing friends, like friends that are, lifelong friends, which the podcast is almost 2.5 years old.
That's great. That's really something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm dropping episode 121 on Tuesday, I think, next week.
That's incredible. I mean, so that's another thing, because so many podcasters, like, people will get going. Maybe some, I think it's like some percentage will do like 1 or 2 episodes and go, oh, this is not for me. Some will do 10 and they're like, oh, this is not for me. A lot of people will be like, well, this, became an expensive hobby. It's not for me,
Totally.
So
I mean, it's a lot of work, but there's also, it's like, I mean, like I was telling you before we hit record, like I'm not in this for the money. I mean, I would love to be able to make money to not have to work.
Yeah.
But here I am 2.5
That's
years
great.
later, with a podcast and working, and I have another business that's going to be ramping back up in the spring.
Oh, that's great. Tell us about that.
So Amy's Garden Jam, I make jams, and I make them with local to me fruits, so that I can make sure that they are fresh and good quality. When I first started out, I was like, oh, you can get this like 10-pound bag of strawberries in the grocery store freezer. But then I saw that they were from freaking like Serbia, and was like, what's special about that?
They came really far.
Serbian strawberries, but I'm like, but Maine strawberries are so good. So for the most part, I pick the fruit myself. I'm hoping to be able to continue that maybe in Virginia, if that's a possibility. And that's twofold. Like it's a better price when you pick it yourself, but also it's quality control. Like you're not getting the ones that are all bruised on the bottom or a little bit moldy because they sat too long. And it's just me. I have no help. It's all me. And so Amy's Garden Jam started in March of 2020.
Wow.
Actually May I made my first batch in the commercial kitchen. So,
nice.
But March I was ready to go. So during the pandemic, it was good times. Everything was super expensive. Yeah. But it was going until I moved, and I'm just waiting for my license to get switched to, and my LLC to get switched to Virginia. And
fantastic. That's really cool. So it could be like micro batches. I mean, just because it's, since it's a small, very limited quantities, that's a fantastic
thing.
It's
all small batch. It's all small batch. I mean, because I'm using tested recipes. And so in Maine, at least, I'm not sure about, I have to learn about Virginia laws, but like with Maine, any new flavor I wanted to offer in any different size of jam jar, I had to send to the state, which was like, it was $90 per test.
That's interesting.
Oh, so
exciting. That could add up.
It's a big commitment. And so, but I was just selling in, farm stores, and I had some friends from a craft fair that were super, super nice. And I left all my jam with them when I moved. I was just sell my jam, please. They opened up a little store in Freeport, Maine. If you know Freeport, Maine, that's where LL Bean is. And it's right across the street from LL Bean, which is the most, most touristy place. Than, like the lighthouses.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
So yeah,
good deal. I like that. That's fantastic. And so
it's growing a little bit every year, and the more people I meet.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. I love the small mom and pop, brands. This is, the attention to detail. It's not a machine making your stuff. It's handpicked, examined. It's not, like you said, it's not sitting on a shelf for months.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. All right. Well, if I had a magic wand and we were looking at your, the podcast or at the jam business, what would you say, could you fix this? What's the biggest challenge you're facing?
Oh my gosh. For the podcast, it's always like automation. Like I need to streamline my process a little bit, because I don't use AI. It's all me. And it's very time consuming. That would be the only thing for the podcast, I think. I mean, I need to figure out how to monetize, but I'm like, I don't know. I can't figure out what I want to do. I think about it as like, I don't want it to be considered a hobby, because it's not making money, but I also don't want to be super money hungry and like chasing down everything and selling mattresses. I really don't want to sell mattresses on my podcast.
Understandable.
But I mean, my first sponsor it's not paid. It's been almost 2 years that they've been a sponsor, but they just have, it's ESG review. They work with larger businesses to assess where they can make changes for environmental and sustainability areas to be more sustainable. But they have me on their newsletter every other week. So
Oh, that's cool.
I talk about them. They talk about me. It costs nobody anything, but
Nice.
getting a little bit of exposure.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So yeah, I could see where that has room to grow for sure. That's really cool. I may have some ideas for you. We'll talk.
Oh my God.
So, all right. Now, so you're still working, at a different job. What is you like? I know you're there for lunch, so you probably don't want to say a whole lot, but someday do you want to make that jump so that you're not?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool because the more time to be outside, I'm sure they want you working during the day, and that's when we get to go play outside. So.
Well, especially this time of year when as soon as I have to, as soon as my work day is done at 4:30, I got to go walk the dog before it gets dark.
Right, because it will be pitch dark. We're on that part of the time zone where whoa, 4:30, yeah, middle of the night. I can't tell the difference.
I know, 6 o'clock. It's clearly 10:30, right? No,
I'm tired enough.
Hours. Yeah, right. Darn it.
That's wild. Well, I would love to hear if you have advice that you can pass along to listeners as far as some easy things that they could do for bumping up their own sustainability.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, I always suggest, just be mindful of what you're buying and who you're buying from. I just did a review. Gosh. I just did a review on Instagram the other day. I ordered, so I'm from Maine, of course. I saw it's Maine Botanical Soaps. They're not paying me. I saw an ad and they said that a couple of salons were, just going crazy for this specific shampoo bar. And I was like, ooh, I am always up for a good shampoo bar. And so they're from Peaks Island, Maine, beautiful, beautiful place. And it's a small business. And I was like, dude, I have got to try that. It's called Honey Hair. And so it's heavier, which I need because you can't see because I'm wearing a ponytail. Weird ponytail, but I have big, dry, wavy hair. And so the
honey will fix it.
Right. Honey will weigh that down a little bit, and it does a great job. And so I just was, especially around the holidays where, right now it's mid-November, and I was like, this is a great thing to do, people, if you have not tried a shampoo bar yet. And people are weird about that. They love the bottles, all the water, the plastic and whatever. But at the same time, people are weirded out about shampoo bars. There's no way it will last as long as a bottle of shampoo. But if you buy a quality shampoo bar and with natural ingredients, I wash my hair every 6 days.
Wow.
And that's with the honey in it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It lasts a long time, longer than you might think. But, just to say, be mindful of what you're purchasing, who you're purchasing from, shop small, please. But as a small business owner, but, it's really nice to know who makes what you're using and wearing. It just makes such a difference. I go to the farmers markets and I talk to them. I'm like, I'm going to make some sauce with these tomatoes. They're like, let me get you tomato seconds. You can get so much more for so much less.
That's so great.
Talk to them, know where your food is coming from. It's so important to make those connections because, as we saw a few years ago, everything is not always available. Right. But so just, be really mindful if you, don't do the fast fashion, please. But the other thing would be, thrifting, really, really helpful. Keep things in circulation and not going to the landfill.
Yeah. Oh, these are great. And these are so easy that really anybody can do these things, whether they're in a city or country or anywhere. It's, that's a great thing. It doesn't have to be the fancy, Whole Foods. That's not what we're talking about. So,
I mean, you could do that. That's cool.
That's awesome, but
you can afford it. Yeah. And another thing I love to recommend is worm composting, which is, freaks people out a little bit, but I had one underneath my kitchen sink for 6 years and nobody would ever know it. It does not smell. It makes compost. It takes care of food scraps. And it costs nothing. You can build it with just a tote.
That is really cool. I love that. That's awesome. All right. So what is your favorite way to spend time outdoors so that you get like those creative ideas going?
I mean, right now, I mean, it's always with my chickens. I moved from Maine with my chickens. I only have 5. I'm about to get a bunch more, but my 5 are people are like, you could leave them in Maine and get some new ones once you move because oh my gosh, that process was insane.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
They all had to have blood drawn. They all had to have health certificates, and I had to drive them all over the state of Maine, just to cross the border. And I had 6. Now I only have 5. She did not die. She's very happy, but she was not having the whole truck.
Oh.
But so being outside with my chickens, I love their sounds. I love, when they're just clucking around and wondering what you're up to, if you've got something good. And then the other thing is, right now I am just starting to plant my food forest in my new front yard, which is blank. So just like planning that out and, trying to figure out what's going to go where. I've got a few trees coming in a couple weeks, so I'm going to have to figure out where to plant them. Yeah. And so like while I'm doing that, I'm thinking about, I don't even know if I told you this, Sue, but like I'm thinking about opening up a refill store.
Oh, okay.
Another thing that has happened being outside, just the thoughts are flying. Creativity is wild outside.
It is. It is. You almost can't stop the ideas. It's like, whoa, now it's a problem or a question of choosing.
Is it fresh air? Is it just the energy? I don't know what it is, but something about like being outside, I just feel so alive, just energized.
Definitely. And hands in the dirt, like that's scientifically a thing. And
100%.
Forward motion if you're walking, all that kind of stuff. It does. All right, let's talk a little bit about your front yard food forest. You're not an HOA. Right?
I am not. No, I had to buy an agricultural property because I have the chickens.
Yes.
And so I am in the sticks.
That works.
Yeah, and it's super nice. And I was telling you before we hit record, like people are they're like obsessive about their lawns. And I've had 3 people since I moved. I've been here 3 months. 3 people have offered to mow my lawn. Like it just bothered them. But the man that lives across the street has been here for 75 years and he just needs something to do, so he'll just do it. And I will give him eggs.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm getting a sweet deal, but it's temporary because I'm not going to be mowing next year.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So our last house when we lived in Alabama, we did that to our front yard. We were in a neighborhood, but it was like residential neighborhood, not an HOA. Mm-hmm. And once we got chickens in the backyard, they were just loose. So it was hard to have a garden because they would eat everything. So I moved the garden up front and we were doing straw bale gardening. And at first our next door neighbor was like, what's going on here? But we'd bring him eggs and he was a hunter. Right. So he'd give us venison. It was a great deal.
Yes. And then you trade and everyone's cool. Like exactly. you go from this place of like, what are you doing, you weirdo, to, hey, yes, what do you got today?
Right. Exactly.
And that's totally what I'm hoping for. Like I'm about to get 25 chickens. I am one person. I do not need that many eggs. So I'm planning to sell them to the neighbors. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, she's all right.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Once they have one of those, right, and once you have a
sore thumb.
Yeah, right. I know.
Nobody walks out here. Like it's literally me and my dog. We walk twice a day, and people are like,
"What is she doing?"
Out in their cars. But yeah, I mean, they all know who I am. They like watch me. They're like, oh, you live down at that house that just got the solar panels. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh.
They watch.
Once they have a taste of like backyard eggs, they'll never go back. Like there's no substitute. When I have to buy eggs, I'm like, oh, that's a sad looking egg. It's yellow.
Totally. I know, yellow. What is this yellow? Why is it not orange? But the eggs, and then I'm hoping for a super fruitful garden next year, and people will be like, hey, do you have any green beans or whatever?
Right.
Why, yes, I do.
Yes, I do. And funny you should ask, you're also getting free zucchini. We used to play ding dong ditch when we had too much of something in the neighborhood. Here you go.
I have heard about people keep talking about that. I could not grow zucchini to save my life in Maine. Like we had the squash beetles so bad that they would just
Ah,
decimate the garden. So zucchini would not get very big.
yeah. Well, you'll find your perfect produce up here, and that's gonna be fun summer then. That'll be your first growing season. And are you already starting to plan your garden?
Yes. This winter I'm planning to build some raised beds to keep it up from the chickens and the other critters that happen to walk through.
That's really smart.
Yeah, and I'm it's easier to not bend over.
Yeah.
And the weeding, all that.
The weeding is much less than, yeah, absolutely. I'm with you.
Yeah, and I'm planting some trees along the edge of the yard to give a little bit of shade. Not enough to cover those solar panels, but to give so it's not like blazing hot.
Yeah.
For the plant for me.
That's really great. All right. So tell us the name of your podcast.
Name of the podcast is Grounded in Maine.
I love it. That's so great. So Grounded in Maine, folks, go give it a listen. You're probably going to learn something really cool, and you'll get to know Amy, and you'll, I'm sure, announce when you've got jams available, right?
Yes, I will. Yes. And that business is Amy's Garden Jam.
Love that. That's great. Thank you so much for being my guest. This has been really fun.
Oh my gosh, Sue, I love this. Thanks.